find you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fright, the show that takes two horror franchises, puts them together head-to-head, movie by movie, to find out which is the superior franchise. I am Nick.
I'm Joe.
And on this episode, it is all about the remakes, Friday the 13th versus Nightmare on Elm Street. Dear God, we're almost done. Joe, which one do you want?
I will take the reins. I will bear the burden for you. I will talk about Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. In the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Clancy Brown is too good for this movie. Alright, so that was Nightmare on Elm Street. Nick, would you be so kind to take us through the 2009 Friday the 13th remake?
In the Friday the 13th remake, the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre hires a wedding band to do all the greatest hits of the original Friday the 13th. So with the boring-ass synopses out of the way, we have 5 categories that we rate these movies on. We have characters, best kill, body count, music, and best overall. First category is characters, and one of these movies starred Sam.
So it gets my vote. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, fuck it. That's like when it comes to the characters. So we'll get this out of the way because it's one of the things we're gonna go through a lot. Both movies are remakes in the sense that they take elements from the original movies and just redo them. Friday the 13th does it in a way that you should do that. Nightmare on Elm Street does it in a way that you should never do that.
And I want to point out, it's especially funny considering they both came from Platinum Dooms a year apart.
Right.
So there's a lot of crossover because one of the actors is in both movies, and we'll get to that. So you would think...
also the director of Nightmare on Elm Street was offered a chance to direct Friday the 13th and turned it down. If only he would have turned down the second chance. So yeah, these are very much homogenized. They should be the exact same thing, and they kind of are. They're slightly different, and just in that slight difference, it's a chance to be, okay, it's not bad, and holy shit, what the fuck was that?
What is it?
Nothing. Just like a sketch.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah,
All of the Nightmare on Elm Street characters are shitty CW versions of the original cast. All of the Friday the 13th characters are every douchebag jock character was made into one douchebag jock character. It's like they took the archetypes of all the different characters from all different movies, sucked them up into one version, and that is basically the version. The nerdy characters, every nerdy character that was in Friday the 13th. The stoner character, every stoner character that was in Friday the 13th. All kind of merged together, and that worked. Nightmare didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I would even say that, like, in general, because, like, when you talk about a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, traditionally the characters are stronger anyways. It's usually the writing's been stronger. You know, Freddy has more of a personality. Before we had Nancy, and they have their little side stories going on or their personal problems, like Taryn from Part 3, she had a drug problem, shit like that. The remake doesn't have any of that.
Right.
It's very genericized in every aspect, especially the characters. With Friday never had that expectation, so a lot of those characters are written how they were 30 years ago, which for a lot of them I get kind of a pass with. The only exception is the jock, because he's just irrationally a fucking asshole to the point where I literally just like, if I ever see that actor, I think I might actually fight him.
Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from with that character, where he's just so over the top. But I think that's supposed to be, you're supposed to root for him to get killed, which is a mantra that I've never really, we've talked about it before on the show. I'm not really a huge fan of where you have slashers where it's shitty people and you want shitty things to happen to them. Like, there has to be a degree, it's okay to have a slasher movie where the reason you're killed is because you do the wrong thing. Like, it can be kind of the hand of God kind of thing. But I think you're almost better off if you have characters that are likable and seem human because then the deaths have more impact.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because like there was the black guy towards the end that he got the axe thrown at him at distance in the back, and he's screaming for help and something like that. And he was in the movie for like maybe all of 5 minutes, but that felt more realistic. Because like when towards the end of the movie with Jason and that guy, and it's just obviously we'll get to the deaths when we get to the deaths, but like that one felt really forced. Like it felt forced with his character too. So it was just like,
Right.
I don't know. But I mean, like overall, no, it's definitely Jason. Just because of Sam from Supernatural, he's the only person that actually has an arc in the sense that like he has a motivation. He's looking for his sister, and that's literally the only person with a motivation in the entire movie.
Right.
Actually, both movies really.
Yeah.
And he's an okay actor in this. I mean, he
still plays the same doe-eyed, boring Play-Doh Sam. That
he plays Sam, yeah.
Right, which is fine.
Just like Rorschach plays Rorschach in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
Everyone seems to just not be able to like escape what the
Right.
role is.
Yeah.
There's no elevation of it.
And to that instance, that's one thing that everyone's like, the only good part of Nightmare on Elm Street is Jackie Earle Haley. No, it doesn't. Like it's mainly because you're going from Robert Englund to Rorschach. Like that's the main sin. Like he didn't really do anything bad other than he's following Robert
Englund.
But he is still stop it. But yeah, no, even though his sin is that he is following Robert Englund, it's still very one note. He does the Rorschach voice. At one point, I was expecting someone saying, "You're stuck in this dream with me." Like I was waiting for that to happen.
It was very Batman-esque. Yeah, it was a low grumble.
Right.
I'm in your dreams. Oh, he's just playing with the dog.
There was a part where he's like, he screamed, "Where are you?" And so when we were watching the movie, I was like, "Where is she? Where's Harvey Dent?" It's so bad. And also the fact of he's 5'4", like he's literally shorter than the entire cast. And we watched this with Dave, and Dave did say that, like, oh well, maybe he's not a big looming monster. It's more creepy that way. That's what child molesters really kind of are. Movies are a visual medium, and like I understand the idea. Like the reality is they're usually really small, but in the dream world, he would make himself bigger because
more menacing.
Right. The psychology of. And I swear to God, the only reason I know this is because, I don't know if I brought this up on the show, I'm a former preschool teacher.
You would never guess.
You'd never know it. But I'm a former preschool teacher, so there's a lot of stuff to talk about from this movie, as far as like what works and what doesn't. Part of being a preschool teacher is you have to go through classes where they kind of like talk about like how to look out for child predators and blah, 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 and the psychology of child predators. The psychology of child predators, it's not a sexual thing. It's not like, ooh, I think little girls or little boys or whatever. It's all about, and this is way deeper for anything we've ever done, but the reason about it, the sexual high they get is about control. It's all about power. So if Freddy Krueger is in a dream and he is 5'4", in the dream, he would make himself this big, gangly, looming creature. So in this instance, if they wanted to do something different, they should employ that terrible fucking garbage CGI, and instead of remaking one of the most iconic scenes in Nightmare on Elm Street, which was achieved by fucking scrim on a wall, use that to make him almost Slenderman-ish. You know, it would have been a couple years before Slenderman or whatever, but like where he's very gangly and shadowy. Like I almost picture like if you were to do it right, where he really has control of the dream world, almost like a the Babadook kind of design where it's all very liquid and shadowy.
Amorphous. You wouldn't even be able to really tell.
The way that dreams are. Like in your nightmares, everything, at least for me, nightmares are they're very fluid and nothing is set in stone. Everything's constantly changing. Maybe that's just me, but that seems like a common theme in nightmares.
That sounds like the NyQuil you were taking.
It could be. I don't know. It's just that's what everything looks like now. I'm so hopped up on Allegra, everything is just watery. But yeah, you could have done something with that. You could have taken the weakness of Jackie Earle Haley being, from Munchkin Town, and turned it into something, and they fucking didn't. It just looked ridiculous. He looked like a little burned kid from a fucking, like, I felt like John Cena was going to come to his bed at any moment and be like, "What's up, Slugger?" I wasn't sure what's going to happen.
Wow. But yeah, no, overall, I definitely, it's Friday the 13th all the way, because even though the characters, the worst ones I hated were worse, the better characters were better than anything in Nightmare. It had better worse, higher, lower lows kind of thing, but it had more going on, and Nightmare was just boring.
Yeah, Clancy Brown couldn't make this. He couldn't fix this. Like he's a miracle worker, but he's not that much of a miracle worker. Friday the 13th, all the way. It's rare. And there's one last thing I want to say about it. It's rare where we get a movie where Jason is a stronger character than Freddy is. The way that they decided to go with Jason, turning him into this like predatory hunter kind of character. Actually, the Derek Mears, the guy that plays Jason in this new movie, who does a fucking great job. He said that he tried to kind of harken back to Rambo in First Blood, like the way that was his kind of direction for the character. That's the mentality you have for
Survival.
the character. Right, survival. Like I have to take care. I have to take everyone out. They're in my land, kind of thing. That's such a novel direction to take him in. Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street, it was just Rorschach in a burnt penis face.
Yeah, pretty much. Sam's looking for her sister, and that's the one that's being held alive hostage in Jason's like lair. And they go and find his lair. They find his mom's head and stuff. And there's like lights strung up. Like he lives there. He plans stuff. He has he has a routine.
Right.
And I like that because it gives him more depth. And it's because we've had some dumb fucking Jasons before.
You say he has a routine. I just picture him as like Jason's meal prep.
We're sad of maggots and
Yeah. It's just like he's divvying
Old brains.
He's divvying everything out for the week.
Sunday meal prep with Jason.
Right.
So for our next category, it's going to be best kill. For my pick, I think we're both going to go with the same movie. Different pick though.
Right.
For me, it's going to be Friday the 13th. I like towards the end. It's the blonde chick who is naked, hiding from Jason in the lake. She's hiding underneath the dock during the daytime. She sees him like walking above. Like, oh, he's going to disappear. Nope. Blade through the dock, hits her in the head, pulls her up. It just bonks her head. Funk. Just goes right back down.
And this is after she got cracked in the face with a speedboat.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because before that, the guy she was with, because she was riding topless, rafting or whatever, and he gets an arrow to the face, and then like falls over, full speeds it, and she gets fucking rocked in the face by a boat. That was great. So that good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, same movie for me. Friday the 13th on this one because fuck Nightmare. The sleeping bag barbecue is probably one of my favorite. Like, there's you have like the top kills of Friday the 13th. This is one of my top 3. It's ridiculous. I remember laughing like an idiot when we saw it in theaters as this girl is screaming for her life. It's
Burning to death.
Burning to death.
Brings joy to Nick's cold heart.
Exactly. Because it was a more innocent time before the Nightmare on Elm Street remake was being released.
A whole 1 year.
Yeah, a whole 1 year. It's always the sleeping bag deaths that are great. Part 7, slap into a tree. Then you've got the 2 sleeping bags.
Oh,
with
Jason
each other,
X.
Jason
Yeah,
X, and then
that's
now
right.
you have barbecue sleeping bag. Fucking great. I really like that one. There were 0 good kills in Nightmare.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to talk about. Is there's only 5 real deaths that you see on screen.
Right.
There's 2 that are like mentioned, and one in particular I really want to mention as like the worst kill is that Asian guy I was talking about from earlier. He was in Jason. He's in this one here, and he's only seen via like an online web search for his personal blog, where he uploads videos about how he can't sleep because of Freddy. And the worst fucking part about this, and I hate when movies do this because it's just like, first of all, it was like Giga Search or something. It was a stupid fucking name for their fucking search engine. It looked like it was from 1998, and this was shot in 2010. Like, you kind of like, if you're going to show a screen, you got to at least try.
Right.
But so the last clip of him you see, because it's obviously his last upload because he dies, you see him start to fall asleep, and then like his head gets thrown violently into the camera, and it does like the static thing. One, he couldn't have uploaded that because he would have been dead. I doubt he had an auto-upload streaming type thing.
Right.
2, there wouldn't have been static because it's a digital fucking webcam. It's the minor details that
Right.
really pissed me off.
Right.
And that's what this movie really missed out on, especially when it came to the kills. Because there's another scene where like, one of the girls is running around and he does like the hide and seek thing. And like for a second, it's a really good sequence. And I like it because It's like the helplessness, like, oh my God, I'm running away from Freddy, but he's right there.
Yeah.
And he's just, ready or not, here I come.
It's boring as fuck.
It's so fucking boring.
Yeah,
I can't.
And I mean, it's not. Well, I'll ask you: is it boring because it's just bad, or are we harsher on it because we've seen all of the other Nightmares up until this point?
Well, I think it's a fair comparison because it's a direct remake. Because we were talking about the scene where the girl's on the ceiling and stuff. In the original, it's a really nice gimbal, and like this one, you can definitely tell it's her on strings that they masked out, and like it's just. It's so obvious because the way the physics look. You can just tell they didn't do that. They went the lazy route. And
Oh
it
yeah, no,
shows.
you can see where they painted out the wires. I can't remember. Somebody was talking about this movie. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Red Letter Media, or it could have been like Jonah Ray. Somebody was talking about this movie, and they're talking about how the remake is the same but shittier. Mm-hmm. So you have the Freddy coming down the wallpaper. It's the same but shittier. You have the gimbal room. It's the same but shittier. So you can see her flipping around on her Cirque du Soleil wire rig. I was waiting for Peter Pan to fly in a fucking window. Looks terrible. It takes half the time. You don't see the reaction shot of the boyfriend. Like, again, when you're doing Nightmare on Elm Street, part of the way to evoke terror and understand the terror of the scene is to have someone in reality watching these gory mutilations appear out of nowhere. Like, that's part of what makes it so fucking scary. None of that. If there is, it's negligible. It's just, it does everything the same but shitty with the exception of one. It's still shitty, so it starts shitty. It's shitty in both. It's the end of both movies are shitty. The end of Nightmare original and the end of this one, both fucking dumb, because they both have that stupid Carrie pop out at the end bullshit, Brian De Palma. This one does that better because they don't turn her into a blow-up doll to pull her through a window. So it's pulled through the glass. It does it better, but it's still fucking dumb. It's overly CGI and stupid. Literally, because everything is CGI with this. When you have the mom standing there and she bends down and pops up and you have Freddy behind her, it looks like the character model from Mortal Kombat or Dead by Daylight. Like, because this for some reason, this is the design they use for all video games going forward.
Oh.
I mean, I know why, but... It's just he's doing the Mortal Kombat kind of waiting to grapple. So it's fucking stupid. It's so jarring, and like I said, it's shitty but better, shitty but same but shitty. It's like this weird inception of all this horrible crap. God, this movie is terrible.
Well, I'll say, let me throw it back to you because we were talking about while we were watching the movies. Friday is kind of the same way. It ends like there's like an actual resolution. Sam's hugging her sister at the end. Hey, we made it.
You call him Sam?
That's his name. His name is Clay Miller, which is a terribly written, fucking boring ass name. They're hugging at the end. They're embracing, and then they, for some reason, decide to bury Jason back into the same lake for no reason.
Well, like I said, when we were watching it. Everybody, the whole room erupted in a sea of what? And I was like, oh, this is a reshoot. They needed this for the trailer. That the mask floating on the mask sinking to the bottom of the lake. They needed that for the trailer, which it's a good shot.
Yeah, I know.
The reason it's a good shot is because we've seen it 7 other fucking times.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though is that like both these movies didn't have the balls, so to speak, to just actually end the way they should have. They both had that fake out the end. Oh, he's not really dead, and it's like. Like, neither of these movies got a fucking sequel, so you wasted your fucking time.
Right. Rather than doing the Carrie ending, or doing the Friday the 13th ending, and that's the thing. That's the reason they did it, is because we have to have Jason pop out of the lake. They did it in the first one. I don't know why it's.
We did it in
Clarence,
the second one.
Clarence, we gotta make a Friday the 13th movie.
You want to buy some
weed?
weed?
But Jason. I don't know why. It's a wonderful Platinum Dunes. Every time a bell rings, Michael Bay. Jason wins.
Yeah.
Body count. 14-7, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
14-7.
Nightmare does have a higher body count than normal, at least certainly from the original. The original only had 4.
But 2 of those were not really kills.
Right.
One was literally just an article, and the other one was like a terrible, the one I'm talking about.
Static,
so, yeah.
In this particular instance, Friday the 13th still beats Nightmare, like it normally does. But it's not from a less is more standpoint where Nightmare is like, well, it's got other things that go for it. No, it doesn't. Jason is kicking Freddy's ass in this particular episode.
Yeah, no, it's not even close. Because, there's twice as many kills, and like all of them are on screen. A lot of it's CG, but there are some really good-looking kills. And like another favorite of mine is just, it's simple. During the beginning, like the sleeping bag is the guy just getting a machete to the face. It was just the editing,
was
the
CG
time,
too.
but it just looked good. The way it was done well. That's the thing is.
Because it's CG plus practical.
Yeah, exactly.
Just...
It enhances it, and it's framed. It's not Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, the him crawling down the wall looked fucking terrible. And then like when he gets burned, and like when he's actually like a human, he gets burned, he runs out the building. His face looks like fucking Voldemort at the end of first Harry Potter, where he flies out in the smoke.
I thought he looked like Nicolas Cage in Ghost Rider.
It looked like that. It looked like all of them. It looked
so bad.
fucking awful,
Yeah.
and I hated it. So yeah, no, Jason all the way. All right, Nick. So our next category is going to be music. I don't really have any strong feelings one way or the other because none of these really stood out to me. So
I have a strong opinion.
go right ahead.
Sister Christian is a fucking terrible song, and any movie that it's in automatically loses. Nightmare gets a point. Fuck that song. Fuck that song. Fuck that song. Fuck that song. As far as the score, who cares? It's not. Neither of them are great, one way or the other. Friday the 13th ends with a weird, like one of those weird late 90s, early 2000s metal soundtrack kind of things.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. Like some movies, like I like the music in Resident Evil. But then there's other times where it's just like, all right, shut the fuck up.
It's just like the most boring industrial kind of sound.
Right. It's just
That's the thing is like for me, both of them felt pretty genericized. Like there wasn't any of the and like a traditional Jason.
At the beginning of the Friday the 13th, like right at the titles.
Yeah, like right at the opening when it shows like Camp Crystal Lake, it starts with that. Right. But for the most part, it was like that reference, and I think there was like one, maybe 2 other songs that were played that were like actual like songs, and not soundtrack, and that's pretty much it. Because we talked about like the my favorite kill had like no soundtrack. There's times where that sounds great and stuff, but I literally just can't place anything.
Yeah, and with Nightmare, a lot of the music, they use the same music from the original. Because again, this movie there's nothing original about it. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't try anything. It doesn't put a new spin on it. It's the same fucking bullshit over and over again. From music, that is something that, to kind of go back to how Friday the 13th does take chances. In the original Friday the 13th, especially in the first 3, Jason he is a brute force, but he's a stalking brute force. Mm-hmm. Whereas this new Jason is very much, get off my lawn, I'm going to fucking destroy you. And you don't have that slow creeping up on you, Jason. It's all about, he's right there. He's always chasing you. He's on your heels, and you feel like you're never going to get away, which...
Almost every scene he's in, they're actually actively fighting or running away from him. It's not like just he's standing there. There's like 1, maybe 2 shots of that the entire movie. Yeah.
Which is funny because Friday the 13th is really the genre, or is really the movie that started they really pushed the POV shots, the slow stalking up POV shots. There was not a lot, I can't remember any. Which is normal, like when you think about it, that's normally something we would criticize a movie for. Like, there's no POV shots, no Jason movie, what the fuck? But if you frame it in a way that it makes sense, it's fine. Like, if you add something to the character, you go a different direction to the character, and it makes sense for what you're doing, great, that's fine. Making Jason a force of nature who's constantly rushing through, and he's brutish and barbaric, and he's hunting people, that's fine if you make your movie and you set your movie up to where this is the Jason that we have. And bringing it back to music, the way that it reminded me of it is because we're used to the we're used to that. but the reason it's not there is because you don't have the opportunity for it to be there. Because you don't have the stalking Jason. It's a in-your-face kind of Jason, which sounds like someone trying to pitch a movie to like some douchebag movie. Like, our Jason's an in-your-face Jason. He's extreme. But it works. It shouldn't work. Like, on paper, we should hate this movie.
Yeah.
But it's good. And it's not just because Nightmare's terrible. It's because it actually is a good Jason movie. And it got a bad rap. It is a good movie. We like different Jason than other Jason fans do, too. Because we like Jason X. And a lot of Jason fans hate Jason X.
Jason X is a great movie, and you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I like my Battlestar Jason, thank you.
You're wrong. Jason X is great. Even with the music not following all of the other stuff and not working the same way as any of the other Jason movies. In this case, it's actually a good thing. It took that element, threw it out, and just realized this doesn't fit our movie. They didn't try to co-opt it like Nightmare would have. Nightmare tried to co-opt everything. Well, we're everything you love, but we're just gonna make it more now. But it's still that, but it's now. Friday's like, no, fuck you. We're gonna take what we like, bring it here, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Music from then doesn't really work. We're gonna jettison that, boom, and then it's gonna be focused on something else. So that's what I like about that. I admire that element of Friday the 13th, but Sister Christian is the worst fucking song on the planet.
So you're still going to go with Nightmare?
Still going with Nightmare.
Well, you won me over. Originally I was going to go with Nightmare just for the joke, but I'll go with Jason.
Okay.
Despite that song, because
right.
you convinced me.
No, it's not a piece of shit. Okay, coming to the end, home stretch, best overall. Clearly we know who wins this one. It's Nightmare on Elm Street, best movie. No. So we actually, we had a problem with our Blu-ray disc for Nightmare on Elm Street when we tried to play it. It worked. So once the movie was over, I fixed that and I pulled it out and immediately folded it. Found out that Blu-rays are much stronger than DVDs because for the joke, I was hoping that it was just going to shatter. No, I have to fucking work to fucking...
Hey.
This movie is terrible. It is fucking god-awful, and I know it's hack to break the movie after you watch it, and everybody does that, but...
You're so emotional and angry.
It's so fucking bad. It's uninspired. It's insulting. It's just terrible in every fucking way.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree because these movies, like I said, we make the joke earlier. They're both from Platinum Dooms, both Michael Bay produced. Mm-hmm. Came out a year from each other.
Oh, why didn't you do that the other day?
But yeah, these movies came out a year apart from the same production company, and they're vastly different movies, and it perplexes me. Yeah, like this Jason movie, I thought it was pretty good. Honestly, it's top 4 for me because there's some really bad Jason movies, some really, really bad Jason movies, like Part 5, and I didn't like Part 7 either. Mm-hmm. But like this one, yeah, the kills are solid. There's a lot of good work in it. It's practical with CGI, and it just knows what it is, and it's unabashedly doing that.
Right.
Like Jason's a brute force. He comes in and he kills motherfuckers. There's no question about it. He kills them brutally. Mm-hmm. Like one of the other great deaths is that Asian guy gets a screwdriver to the bottom of the mouth and it just sits there as it's just going in, and like it does not stop.
Yeah, that is a slow, painful.
Yeah,
execution. That was a good death.
Yeah, no, it was a really good death. And Nightmare is uninspired. It just there's nothing about it that sticks to it because Rorschach is not Freddy. He's not Robert Englund. He doesn't have that charm to him. He's just very one tone, and it doesn't work for Freddy because the reason why Freddy was so entertaining is because he's conniving, because he's getting such sadistic pleasure from this, and you don't get that vibe from him. You get that he's just evil, but like you don't get that he's sick and twisted evil. He's just evil. He just like because that's the thing is like he's a child murderer. Because like I want to say in the originals they explicitly implied that he raped and murdered children like. Back like that was the thing.
Right.
It wasn't just child molestation.
In the original movies it was weird. They kind of wanted to have their cake and eat it too. So they originally he was a child molester, but then they're like, oh, maybe we don't want to go with child molester because this guy's got bubble gum that we're selling to kids.
Yeah.
He's a child murderer. How about that? He's a murderer. And they're like, yeah, but he's a molester too, but he's a child molester murderer. Like they play really kind of pushed the murder aspect. Whereas this new movie, like, I guess kudos to the movie at least slightly for really embracing the child molestation angle. It was fucking weird.
Yeah.
But like okay, like yeah, that is an element of the character, and that is a way that you can make the character deplorable. And it is hard to have your cake and eat it too when it comes to Freddy, because you can't really root for a child molestation kind of guy. He can sell you footlongs all day long, but you can't really root for him. Sneak it right in. One thing, and we briefly touched on this, because I'm not gonna harken back to what we already said from the new Nightmare, trying to humanize Freddy, and the element where there was just a brief 10-minute period where they tried to make it seem like the kids were lying, and like we would have said anything, like weird victim blaming. And this, like, granted, it went away, but the idea of like, oh, we were kids, we could have said anything, we got an innocent man killed. You can't do that. Freddy cannot be innocent. It's insulting. It's fucked up, and it just does. You don't understand the character. Like I don't really like movies that. So, well, I want to know what makes this villain tick. I want to know the origin story of a villain. I'm perfectly okay with, hey, Darth Vader killed your dad. Oh, actually, Darth Vader is your dad. I just didn't tell you. I'm okay with that. I don't need to see how that happened. It's perfectly okay for just the mystery is fine.
You don't need to see how Darth Vader thought sand was coarse and rough and it gets everywhere.
Exactly. I don't need to see him rolling around in flowers. And I don't even, and to that end, I don't need to see him killing younglings. It's okay. Like, Darth Vader's Darth Vader, he's evil. It's fine. I don't need to know how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. It's the Patton Oswalt bit. I don't need to know how the things I love came from. I just love the things I love. With Freddy Krueger, I don't need him to be humanized. I don't need him to have even a brief moment where the kids are, well, we sent an innocent man to death. No! He's a fucking child molesting murderer. Fuck him. Like, he's supposed to be evil. Leave that on the paper. All you do is you show him getting burned to death by by angry parents, and then he's swearing his revenge. It's not a justified revenge, but it's still a revenge. Mm-hmm. It's fine. You can have the monsters were always monsters, and the monsters keep fighting back. They don't have to be scorned and then come back. And what have we done? That doesn't work for this movie.
Well, yeah, because just saying that, like, you almost make it seem like, because had they done that, it would almost give Freddy like a righteous reason for his revenge.
Right, exactly.
Because in the movie, they have like the flashback of like, oh, you guys were his life, but also at the same time he diddled you, and like they show he had pictures and then that he actually abused them and stuff like that. So like it's one of those things, like it was so annoying because the parents saw that these kids were coming home abused. So there was like no like question in the sense like, oh, was it him? Like there's only a certain amount of people. It's probably him. Right. Because like they showed like the young girl crying, talking about the secret place and all that. Like, oh, we never found it. It was literally underneath the fucking school where he lived. He lived under the school.
Which, again, going back, former preschool teacher, you can't have someone living in the basement. That's not how DCF works. There's certain zoning laws. You can't do that. It would have to be zoned as a home daycare, and they'd have different rules. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's so stupid. I'm okay with the idea of Freddy being a gardener that worked at the preschool. I'm okay with that. Like, if you want to go for a grittier, like, almost Seven take of it, where it's really, really creepy. Yeah. If you want to go that direction, fine. preschool kids. He worked at a preschool. That's how we preyed on him, blah, blah, blah. Living under a preschool in the basement, and he played with the kids. It doesn't work. And I can't really articulate why it doesn't work. Largely because it's already worked before. The Freddy Krueger, it originally worked before, and it partly because the mystery was there. It worked when it was the mystery. The only reason that it started to have holes in the story was from Freddy's Dead, when you tried to put that, like, I tried to be good. No, he can't try to be good. He's an evil, fucked up, psychotic piece of shit. You can't have that moment that he doesn't get
At
redemption.
least Freddy doesn't have a kid or a wife in this.
Right. That we know of. Who knows where this fucking movie could have gone.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, Rorschach's not dating anyone.
he's the son of 1,000 maniacs. Like, he's supposed to be a fucking psychopath. That's the whole point. Fuck this movie.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, obviously Jason's both of our picks for today, and our best overall as a winner. I went all Jason today for everything. You chose Nightmare for music, and it's just kind of funny that, like, these movies came out in such kind of almost ironic timing and such vast differences in the approach of how they handle the property. And yeah, like, if you're gonna do it again, kind of like with the last episode we did with Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Jason X. Kind of the same thing, just like this is like 10, 12 years, later or whatever.
Right.
Jason X is obviously not a traditional Jason movie. It's just sci-fi schlock in space, but it's proud of that. It is unabashedly that kind of movie.
It understands its premise.
And like with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, we had, it was one of those things like cool premise. It didn't go far enough. It didn't utilize its potential. It retreaded a lot. It's like, hey, remember this, remember this. This did the same thing. It only reminded you of things like, oh man, I'd rather be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street because this only reminds me of this movie that I've seen that's way better. And that's the worst kind of thing you can do with a remake, is make it so bad that it, like, Total Recall and fucking RoboCop. Like, this is in the same vein as those kind of movies. It's fucking garbage bin, genericized crap, and you just don't care because there's no personality to the movie. So, fucking Jason, fuck this. I want it out of my fucking sight. Done.
Yeah, that's it. So, this is the last fight. This is the last time that we're going to do a Friday movie versus a Nightmare movie.
A full two movies.
Full two movies.
Yeah.
Now, it comes down, we kind of jumped around a bit, but it comes down to the actual fight. Actual Freddy versus Jason.
The one we've been leading 3 years.
Yeah. This fucking better be good. So in the next episode, what we're going to do, we're going to go through all of our points. We're going to go through all of our... What the fuck are you doing? So we're going to go through all the movies. We're going to tally up all the scores from all the different stuff. Find out who the true winner is in our Freddy versus Jason matchup for this season. And then we're done.
Yes.
We're fucking done.
Forever.
Not forever. We'll come back.
With Freddy versus Jason, forever.
We're no more Freddy versus Jason, because they're never going to make one. They're not going to make another Nightmare. They're not going to make another Jason.
Not after these fucking two.
It's not going to happen. I don't care what fucking article you read online. Shit ain't happening. They're not doing it. Follow us, like us, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. We have a Patreon. We would really appreciate some patrons. If you guys like this stuff, it seems like you do.
We've got a small family. Yeah, it's getting there. We'd like to do this more frequently and eventually as a dream.
I think more people like us eating garbage food than they like us watching garbage movies. But
yeah, we'll figure it out.
We like doing this stuff.
There's more of that too.
I'm the horror guy. I know I'm the minority, and and I'm pretty much the only horror guy on this channel, but keep it going, guys. Help me out.
It could be worse. We could be sitting in front of a bunch of bookshelves full of DVDs and
no
action
shit.
figures.
Yeah, we could have a bunch of fucking Walmart shelves full of Funko Pops. Like, look at this. We got our own sign.
We got some fucking chains.
We got lighting. Like, look, this shit's green here.
Yeah.
Look at this shit.
It's a fucking brick wall. This shit looks pretty.
We got some staying power with this. We want to keep going, man. I want to do Ghoulies versus Critters.
Get up and kill! moderately neato.